Hello, and welcome to Asian Pacific Voices Radio, where you'll find stimulating conversations that explore diverse topics and stories impacting our communities. I'm your host, Rasha Goel. And today on our show, we have the pleasure of having a true cultural bridge builder and dynamic MC known as MC MARU. With his trilingual prowess, uncanny charm, and passion for inclusivity, he has become a beacon of unity, connecting diverse communities through the power of language and entertainment. Truly a gifted individual. Welcome to our show, MC MARU. How are you? Thanks for being here on Asian Pacific Voices Radio.
Hi, thank you, Rasha. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be on this show, to be on this Asian Pacific Voices Radio. So I'm more than blessed and excited to be on this show with you. Wow.
You have a very unique name. So tell me, Maru, what does it mean?
Okay, Maru is a pure Korean name, which means the top of the mountain. Like mi abuelo, like my grandfather gave me that name. Yes, wanting to me to be on the top of the mountain. So that is my very unique, Korean name.
Maru. And so do you feel like you're standing on top of that mountain right now with all the different things that you're doing and bringing to the world?
I'm trying to be on top of the mountain, on a daily basis with the best that I can get. So I'm not sure I'm living up to my name, but I'm trying on a daily basis with the talent that I got.
Well, I'm going to say you are, and I have to talk to you about your language ability. You speak 3 different languages. You're fluent in Korean, English, and Spanish. We heard you mentioning your abuelo earlier. So it's quite impressive to be able to integrate all 3 languages. When did you develop this ability? And now, were you born here or outside of the U.S.?
No, I was not born here in the States. I was born in Korea. I was born and grew up there, for 20 years. So I came to the U.S. for the first time at the age of 20.
Wow.
So for me, Korean is my heart language, and English and Spanish are functional languages that I acquired as an adult. So as soon as I got here, I started working as a server and a food attendant at a Korean restaurant and Chinese restaurant. And a liquor store. I got to meet many Latino friends, and there, I started picking up their cultures and their languages. So I learned English and Spanish here in the States, and I fell in love with the language of Spanish. So I got to study Latin American studies at UCLA. And I studied in Mexico after that, and I, worked in Guatemala. I traveled all the Central, South American countries, to get to know them better. That's, my story.
That is so intriguing to me, especially to come over to the US after 20 and then pick up on this third language. Well, basically, you're learning 2 languages at the same time, which also can be challenging. I want to talk to you about how you decided to make this transition into emceeing. Because, first of all, hold on, I'm going to go back. You came here when you were 20. I can imagine there were so many challenges coming to this new country, first of all, and adjusting. And you went into serving into the food industry. So talk to me about how you made that transition from being in the food industry to becoming an MC.
When I was in Korea, and I lived there for 20 years, it was very uniform in a country and culture. So I didn't have to do anything as a cultural, cultural breacher, or barrier, breaker or something, because there was no differences. Everybody looked the same. Everybody did the same thing. But since I got here, I had to work my role as a translator for my parents, as many immigrant kids do. So I studied as a translator, and I studied without knowing that I studied work my role as a translator, culture breacher and the barrier breaker. And then I got many chances to be on the stage, from the get-go. Since I was a little kid, I was a clown of the class, class clown, entertaining people, entertaining my, friends, classmates, and the students and the teachers. and that is my personality. So I stuck, with my personality even, after I got here into the States. So I got many chances to be on the stage as an MC, and I started to developing, my cultural sensitivity and stage skills and people skills and whatnot. And then, it was over like 10 years, I'm doing this, and as an MC, multicultural, multi-ethnic, event, conference, corporate, MC. So yeah, still, even this day, I'm growing as a person, as an MC. I'm still picking up many different stuff, from many different, people. So yeah, that is what I like about, what I'm doing as an MC. So I can meet a lot of people different, from different backgrounds, and there are many opportunities out there to like pick up something new and learn, on a daily basis. That's what I like about it.
But Maru, how did you get into it? So, I mean, I understand you've done over 600 plus appearances, which we're going to talk about and the impact that's had, but how did you get into it? And how do you find your gigs?
First, I studied emceeing weddings for my friends. So they asking for an MC, and they couldn't find a right one, so they asked me, Maru, can you do MC for my wedding? I said yes, why not? I love being on the stage, I love people, why not? And you pay me, right? So there was no reason why I could turn down those like offers. So I studied emceeing weddings for my friends, and then mouth to mouth, mouth to mouth, I got recognized, I got appreciated. So like over time, time flied, and so far I've been doing more than 600 events so far, in a small and big, Korean, non-Korean, Latino, Hispanic, yeah, many different type of events I'm doing as an MC.
Is there one memorable experience that you can share with us, especially out of these 600 plus appearances that you've made?
Okay, like to be honest, like each event at each stage is very memorable and very special to me. But as a person, as an MC, uh, mm, well, every time I get like true recognition, from people who invited me, okay, I feel alive and I feel thankful and grateful. So those like special recognition make me feel like, oh, what I'm doing is really important. What I'm doing is really meaningful. For example, lately, uh, for last week, there was a lot of cultural events in Los Angeles. There was a like Korean a festival, and there was a World Korean Business Convention, and Asian Pacific, festival in Garden Grove, Orange County. There are many like multiple events, taking place at the same time, and so because of physical limitations, I couldn't attend all the events. So I miss some events, and this is the message. This is the like direct message that I got one of my from one of my fans. Maru, I was so disappointed that you weren't the host at this year's Korean festival. You are the best host I've ever seen in my entire life. In reality, you are actually an artist yourself, not just someone who introduces artists. And there are many like other recognitions as well. So like those true recognitions make me feel like, okay, I should do it right. I should keep doing this. So and there was one more girl who like sent me a message saying that I became her role model. So it's like my encounter with her, with them, was like very short, brief on the stage, like, for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Of course, there are many interactions, before and after the stage, appearance. But through those like, small moments, like, they call me their role models. They call me the best MC in their entire lives. So those small moments like have been accumulated, over time. And, you know, I imagine that, get those kind of recognitions over, 600 like times, then yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't know how to finalize my answer, but
No, no, no. Well, it seems like, it's got a double impact. So not only are you leaving an impact on these people who are watching you, but they're leaving an impact on you by sharing these beautiful messages. I also understand that your emceeing philosophy is no one left out. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this philosophy and maybe share an incident or an instance where that this made a noticeable difference in an event that you hosted?
yeah, okay. Thank you so much for mentioning my number one philosophy, Russia. Yeah, that is my when I do MC an event, no one, left out is uh my number one philosophy because it comes from my like personal experience uh being bullied, back in high school and middle school in Korea. So those because of those like experiences, like when I do an event at the event, I scan the audience with my eyes like this from left to right. Okay, I do many multicultural events, multi-ethnic events. So there are diverse people, old and young, men and women. I don't know what's happening in their minds, in their own on their like everyday lives. So I scan them. I know what it is like to be left out. I know what it is, to be the like only Korean in an event, surrounded by like 300, 500 Latinos. I know, the kind of feeling. So as an MC, I scan the audience and try to include them. I
Mm.
try to embrace them, to the event. For example, if there is one, Vietnamese speaker, if I find one like Vietnamese, I add like my greetings in Vietnamese. Things like the very small thing. There's no like wow. There's no amazing strategy or something like that. I try to approach as with my humanity as a person. It's not a matter of the skill. It's not a matter of language skill, sensitivity, or whatnot. Just being having a good heart. Tener un buen corazón. Being a good person on the stage and trying to invite them and providing this hospitality on the stage. Because I believe in the power of stage. I believe in the power of microphone. So when I speak, and its power, of course, we are having just like this regular conversation. I have a conversation with Russia. Okay, it means a lot. But when you're on the stage, when you speak with a microphone, like the power doubles, it multiplies. So it goes straight into the heart of the listener or the guest. So taking advantage of the power, of the stage and the microphone, I try to invite them, embrace them, and encourage them. Because you never know what's happening in their minds, right? In their lives. So taking advantage of those, just weapons that I have, I try to like provide hospitality as much as I can do.
And I would say, Maru, that's a gift to have. I mean, not everybody's able to tap into that always. So I find that to be a beautiful gift. Now, you've also been involved in promoting K pop, K movie, and K food. So, how do you see these cultural elements fostering understanding between different communities?
Okay, I love. I just get carried away by anything, to do with, K's, K food, K pop, K dramas, and whatnot. And even my last name starts with K because I'm Kim. Uh, so it's like, every time I run into those, like when I see this, like Korean waves, Hallyu, and this amazing waves of like Korean culture, here in the States and all over the world. I feel proud, and and like it always reminds me of my root, as a Korean. So it's like, every like race or every, just a community has something, something to put on the table, right? And in that sense, I like, oh, I'm very happy that I can put something on the table, something like very popular.
I mean, that's a great way to contribute. because you're part of that culture. But that also makes me think, Maru. Um, when you bust out in Spanish, do people kind of look at you like, wait, what? How does he know Spanish so fluently? Do you ever get different reactions around that?
See, of course, and most of them say like, "Wow, what the things like that." And I love those sort of responses, those reactions, and that is my like identity. After living here in the like States for a long time, with this like with this three cultural and three linguistic environment, that has become my lethal weapon, right? As an MC, as an entertainer. So it's like that makes me incomparable. That makes me like advantage, like a comparative advantage as an entertainer. So I love being me. I love being tricultural, and for example, during this interview, I'm wearing this Se habla español T-shirt, right? So I chose this T-shirt this morning. Of course, I thought, okay, what should I wear? What should I wear? And I chose this black Se habla español. I speak Spanish, or Spanish is spoken in a T-shirt, to bring attention, right? For example, okay, and if I go to a supermarket, and whatnot, if I go outside, like many Latinos, who know Spanish, kind of stop me and say, "Wow, hablas español," right? That is, that becomes a trigger in a conversation, relationship, encounter trigger. Okay, that makes them to come to me and speak. Okay, so I'm wearing this for them so that they can come to me, so that we can, start our conversation. Okay, that is where our relationship begins, which I very cherish. So yeah, and it's also my like, branding as a like, tricultural, trilingual MC. So like me by now, after like, so my identity is like combination of like being Korean, it's American and Latino. Yeah, so I love my identity. So like without me knowing, I just like find myself speaking like Korean, Spanish, and English, or Spanglish, is in Konglish, and whatever at the same time. So I love that, and me doing that, I think causes many like joys and laughter on the stage, and I've experienced that so many times. It's been tested, so what's not to love.
Well, why don't you before I ask you my next question, why don't you throw out a quick line in the three languages for us? Just anything you want to say.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Hola, mucho gusto, my fans on Asian Pacific Voices Radio. Me alegro mucho, es mi honor y gran bendición y gran placer grandoto de estar aquí con ustedes. It's my great pleasure to be here on this Asian Pacific Voices Radio. To be honest, I thought a lot about like, being on this show, because, I just did, what I've been doing. I've been doing what I've been doing, right? But what can I say? What can I share, on this show, with this in a precious time? But I took courage, and I'm just sharing. Estoy compartiendo who am I, with you, and me being me. I think can be a great story and a great motivation to some people. Sí, por eso I'm very more than excited and happy to be on this show.
You got to end
Yeah,
it in
thank you.
Korean, though. You didn't say anything in Korean.
그렇죠. Korean, my mother tongue, my very like my idioma del corazón, my heart language. 좋습니다. 감사합니다. 제가 MC로서 이렇게 10년 넘게 LA를 넘어서 또 미주 전역에서 중남미에서 활동하고 있는데, 음, 제가 하는 것들이 아주 작은 발걸음일지라도 누군가에게 위로가 되고 격려가 되고, 나도 그런 롤 모델이 되고 싶다, 나도 저런 사람이 되고 싶다라는 그런 발자취를 남길 수 있다는 것에 큰 감사함을 느끼고, 앞으로 이런 활동들을 통해서 좀 더 큰 영향력으로, 선한 영향력으로 어, 더 많은 것들을 나눌 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Now, did you just kind of repeat what we had talked about, or did you add something new in there?
Okay, I add many things, many new things, okay, in different languages. Yeah, so I love what I'm doing as an MC in Agile.
I want to ask you a little bit about embracing and kind of bringing together the Korean American communities and Latino communities, because what you're doing is something really, truly unique. So, could you share maybe some strategies that you've employed to create this sense of unity among both of these different cultural groups?
Okay, first of all, like as I told you before, lo más importante is the most important thing is to have a good heart, and first you have to listen and observe, more first to collect as much information as you can get. As a person, as an MC, to understand, it's like understanding the other cultures, like you're putting yourself in, other people's shoes, right? So instead of talking, instead of speaking more, you have to, keep your mouth shut and keep your eyes wide open and listen and observe to collect as much information. You have to have this knowledge to understand, to love, like one another. So like love, without knowledge is like it could be a disaster, right? So wherever I go, whatever I do, every time I encounter like people from my different background, I try to listen first so that I can know about him or her better, and for me to like know, and I have to listen first, right? Listen to their stories. Okay, and then like you are doing to me, Russia, like you ask me questions, you are helping me to like to tell my stories from the heart, right? So I listen, I collect information, and then I try to put those like knowledge into practice. Okay, I try to encourage them, and and okay, based on this like knowledge, formed by the collective information and knowledge. So that's what I'm trying to do. And you have to do it as an MC on the stage. You have to do it very spontaneously, right? Of course, that on a daily, in everyday life, in a restaurant, private conversation over lunch, we can encourage each other 3 hours, 4 hours, we can do this, we can do that, but on the stage, most of the time, everything goes so quick and quick and quick. Dale, dale, dale. So like is to not to make any mistakes. You should be more prepared with more information and knowledge. So okay, in many people's eyes it might look like an improvisation or something like funny or something wow. But in many cases the truth is there's an understanding, abundant, like deep understanding, based on the abundant, like, observation and knowledge. And yep.
I love that. And what I was thinking too about as you were speaking was, do you do mostly Asian American events, or you also do events in the Latino community, or is it balanced out, or just all types of events across the board?
Okay, all types of cross-cultural events. I'm expanding my territories, and I'm maximizing my trilingual ability. So I'm doing many like quinceañera, like 15-year-old, or like a party for Latino girls, and there are many like cross-cultural events like happening more and more every time. For example, weddings. When I first started weddings 10 years ago, most of the weddings were just weddings between Korean. Now I'm doing many like my MC like weddings between a Korean bride and the like Mexican groom. Okay, vice versa. And I once did like between marriage between a Mongolian and Korean, Korean and Japanese, Vietnamese in Korean, Latino and Korean, vice versa. And for my corporate events, there are many different Latino employees, with Korean co-workers and whatnot. So I'm trying to expand my territory so that I can be just barrier, like I can break my barriers like no matter what. So that's why I love California. I'm surrounded, but wherever I go, and I went to the like World Korean Business Convention last week in Orange County. Also, I went to also MC the Asian Pacific festival in Garden Grove last week.
Mm.
Wow, there was a Vietnamese, Korean, Latinos, African American, white, they were not. So I'm trying to cater to all the needs.
It's a great thing to be able to do, and you're in the perfect place to do that. And I do want to mention that you are also the CEO of Maru on the Stage Entertainment. So I know we've got lots of other probably exciting things lined up for you. Maru, can you tell our guests as we wrap up here, where can they find you on social media?
Okay, you can find me on the Instagram at Maru on the Stage. Maru is my name, and on the stage, Maru on the Stage. You can follow me. I can follow all the up-to-date events and information on my Instagram. So don't forget to follow me on my Instagram.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you here on the show. We could have kept going on and on, but we are out of time. So thank you once again, Maru, MC Maru, for joining us. And for all of our listeners and viewers, we'd also love to hear from you. So if you have any suggestions on topics or any particular questions that you would like to ask, make sure you reach out. And don't forget to subscribe to your favorite podcast platform, as well as follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Asian Pacific Voices Radio is produced by Asian Culture and Media Alliance, a nonprofit that empowers our Asian and Pacific Islander communities with a voice through media arts. Now, if you'd like to support our program, please do visit us at AsianPacificVoicesRadio.com. I'm Rasha Goel, and once again, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Asian Pacific Voices Radio. I hope you will tune in to me again next week for another thought-provoking and dynamic conversation. Till then, take care and have a wonderful week.